Welcome back to Garden Talk, brought to you by the Penn State Erie County Extension Master Gardeners. I'm your co-host for today, Mike Bailey, along with Ellen DePlacido. Ellen, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. I'm here again.
You're here again. Wonderful.
Yes.
And today we're going to talk about planting trees or thinking about planting trees, okay?
Trees.
And there's some things we want people to think about before they actually start the process of planting a tree. And Ellen, like I said before we started recording, you know I get crazy about this topic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so because I see so many bad decisions that people have done, which is really kind of makes me feel bad that they're going to have to take some corrective action, or that tree's not going to grow the way they want, or in the spot where it is, or it's going to be a problem in 15 years and stuff like that. So that's why I get concerned about this.
And it can be a very expensive mistake.
You're right.
If you don't plan. Mm-hmm.
Right. And trees can have a very positive or they can have a negative impact on your the value of your home. So you got to think about that. So planning, right?
Right. Got to plan.
Ellen's favorite word, planning.
Planning.
So what do we need to do here?
Well, I think first of all, you want to ask yourself some questions. Number one, why are you planting a tree in the first place? What do you want to accomplish? Maybe you want to add a little bit of value or appeal to your landscape, make your yard look a little prettier. Or do you need some shade? I mean, maybe your house is getting all the sun and there aren't enough trees around, so you want some shade. Or privacy. A lot of times people plant trees to keep from looking into their neighbor's kitchen window or something like that. And helping the environment, attracting birds and bees and other animals to your yard, good animals, and just maybe for pleasure. Maybe you like trees and you just want to plant a nice tree in your yard.
Yeah, you're right.
So think about that.
Yeah, right. And those are some of the questions, but you also have to think about how much space do I have? And how much space am I going to need? Okay, what's going to happen to this tree in, like I said, 5, 10, 15, 30 years from now? How big is this tree going to get? Some of them are going to get, 40 to 60 feet tall, and some of them with the crown, which is the upper growth part of it, that's going to get 20, 25 feet in diameter. So you have to kind of think about that. Some of my favorite examples, if I can digress a minute, is the weeping cherries. Okay, people buy them and they're so cute when they're young. Okay, and they tuck them into these little spots right next to the house, but they forget that they're going to get big. I mean, mine, fortunately, I have enough sense to put it out away from the house, 30 years ago. And boy, you should see that thing now. I mean, that's got a trunk on it that's 15 inches in diameter, and it's got a crown on it that's probably 15 to 18 feet in diameter, that weeping cherry.
Yeah.
But so you got to think about that, and then you got to think about what might be the problem. Oh, Ellen, you were going to talk about that, weren't you?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I told you I'm crazy about this topic.
Okay, depending on how large that tree gets, it could interfere with some overhead or underground wires and other utilities. There's been so many trees trimmed in our neighborhood by Penelec because they are encroaching on our electrical wires. Some other problems are sidewalks. We see trees that are planted too close to sidewalks, driveways, patios. Sometimes those patios are getting lifted by tree branches that are rubbing either against your house or rubbing against your garage. And you might want to find out how messy are these trees going to get. I mean, are they going to drop nuts and acorns and chestnuts and ginkgo and fruit and leaves? So know your tree and know how messy it might get.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You're right. Okay. And have you ever hit a pine cone with your mower? Okay. It sounds like you're hitting a rock. You also got to think about the lifespan of these trees. Okay. How long might they live? Okay. Some of them have problems with insects, and borers and things like that. Some of them don't have a very long lifespan. And some of them have a tendency to split. A lot of people like these Bradford pears, which are beautiful in the spring, but they have a tendency to split also. And my neighbor up the street, she just lost hers, because it kind of really just split right in half on her. So you got to be careful about that. You also got to think native or non-native. The native trees support a lot of insects, okay, which in turn support a lot of birds. Take a white oak in particular. It supports an innate, amazing number of moths, and the larvae of those moths, and they develop in the springtime, and that's when the birds are feeding their youngsters, okay, and those young birds need those caterpillars, okay, for growth. That's where they get their protein and their minerals and and a lot of their calories and moisture. So they rely upon those things. So a lot of our native trees, are very, very important for that particular process. Because the non-native trees, the bugs don't necessarily attack them in the same way, and don't support the birds there. So, where will I plant, Ellen? Where should we plant these trees?
Well, we've been seeing a lot of trees being planted between sidewalks and the curb, and they're really probably not going to thrive very well there. The roots can't grow, and they're going to go under the cement and all that. So it's not a good idea to plant between the sidewalk and the curb.
Yeah, Ellen, if I can just add something there.
Yeah.
To convince yourself of that, drive around town, especially along busy roads. Take a look at the trees that are growing in either boulevards or some of the boulevards are wide and they're fine, okay? But some of them are really narrow. Are that area between the sidewalk and the curb is so narrow. Look at these things; they're pitiful. Don't plant there. Okay,
right.
You're lucky you can
and
get
they cost a lot of money.
Yeah, they cost a lot of money. Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And think about how large your tree might be in 15 years, and you might not want to plant it too close to the corner of your house. A lot of times we have a tendency to plant trees and shrubs right at the corner of the house, and it's not a good idea. Planting too close together. Remember how large the trees are going to get, and give them enough space to grow and to get a lot of air circulation and that. And we said you might want shade, but you also might not want too much shade. So don't plant your tree that will shade your house more than you want it to be shaded.
Yeah. Okay. And then if I could just go on to say, why do homeowners end up removing trees? You know why they remove them? For all of the things that we just talked about. Okay, because wrong tree, wrong spot is basically what it comes down to. And Ellen, it looks like we've used up our time for today, so I hope that was all helpful. And we're going to continue on this topic next time around. We're going to get into planting, okay, which is really interesting. Okay? Okay. Thank you now.
All right.
Bye-bye.